สวัสดีค่ะยินดีต้อนรับทุกท่านนะคะเข้าสู่รายการ GIT Talk รายการที่นำเสนอเรื่องราวและสาระดีๆในแวดวงอัญมณีและเครื่องประดับดิฉันไพรัมย์วิทยาคมรับหน้าที่เป็นพิธีกรในวันนี้ค่ะและในวันนี้ถือว่าเป็นโอกาสดีๆนะคะของทั้งผู้ประกอบการไทยและผู้ประกอบการชาวต่างชาติค่ะเปิดมุมมองผ่านประสบการณ์ของผู้เชี่ยวชาญในแวดวงอัญมณีและเครื่องประดับระดับโลกค่ะโดยวันนี้เราได้รับเกียรตินะคะจากบริษัทชั้นนำอย่าง Gemfields มาร่วมพูดคุยกันค่ะ Good afternoon everyone. I am Bairam Wityakom. It is my honor to be your MC today. I am very delighted to have Mr. Sean Gilbertson, CEC and Executive Director of Gemfields with us to talk and share his business direction toward gem and jewelry industry that currently affected by COVID-19. I believe that everyone is familiar with Gemfields as one of the world's leading suppliers and high-quality ruby and emerald. And today, we also have Mr. Sume Prasopongchai, GIT Deputy Director, to discuss on topic the big change of global colored stone industry after COVID-19.
Good morning, John. Thank you very much for your time and your contribute to the GIT Talk today. Everyone know that on this several months, we have everyone affected by the COVID-19. Every industry is very, very tough, especially for the gem and jewelry industry, because we are considered as a luxury product. People just worry how soon we will recover it. In this situation, I'm also thinking about Gemfields. You are the breeder, you are the biggest buyer for ruby and emerald worldwide. And Thailand as the biggest manufacturing, biggest trading for ruby and especially ruby and other color stone. First of all, I'd like you to introduce yourself to all the audience first, because some audience may don't know you. And then we go to talking about the effect from the COVID-19. What do you look for the market?
Perfect. Very, very happy to do that. Well, first and foremost, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sean Gilbertson, and I have the deep honor of being the CEO of Gemfields, one of the world's leading suppliers of responsibly sourced colored gemstones, specifically emeralds from Zambia, and of course, rubies from Mozambique. And it's a pleasure and a privilege to be speaking with you today.
At the COVID-19 pandemic, it affect to starting from China, and then at that time, Thailand is the biggest area which is affected by COVID-19 in beginning of the year, right? And since then, the government implement the lockdown policy, and today we are very, very good luck. We can recover all the things, but of course the economy, the business is still very, very tough. Thailand is based on the export economy. The business is turned down. And Gemfields, as you are the biggest, you are the breeding of the manufacturing or mining for ruby and emerald. Can you tell me how does the COVID affect to Gemfields, and how do you manage that situation during the past month?
Of course. Obviously, the present circumstances are very different and very difficult for people across our sector, from the mining side through to the retailing side. Conditions can be very tough for people who are economically challenged at the lower end of the spectrum, through to, of course, we've had to suspend our mining operations. So both the Kagem Emerald Mine in Zambia and the Montepuez Ruby Mine in Mozambique are currently not operating. And that means that we've already lost the production for April, May and June of this year. And we are also likely to lose production at both mining operations for at least July and also quite possibly August. Now, one of the reasons we've done that is obviously the health and safety of our team members and also our communities are our top priority. And when one has 1,000 to 1,500 people coming and going from a mining operation, obviously there are transmission risks in respect of COVID-19. So that's one of the reasons why we have suspended the principal operations at both of those mining operations. Then, of course, there are a variety of knock-on effects at the moment because of the transport difficulties, the travel restrictions. We're not necessarily able to send gemstones from one country to another country, and hopefully that'll improve in the next few weeks. But, for example, that means that in February of this year, when we held what is so far our one and only auction of 2020, and that was for emeralds in Lusaka in Zambia, we are not yet able to ship that product to the customer because COVID-19 kicked off very shortly after those auctions. And so the customers do not yet have their product because we can obviously only send it at the point at which the transport links and the airlines start operating again. And the biggest problem from a Gemfields perspective, obviously, in addition to stopping the two mining operations, is that we are, like so many others in our industry, totally cut off from revenue. And for those who follow Gemfields closely, in 2019, 93% of Gemfields' revenue came from the 6 auctions that we held in 2019. And in total, that brought about $200 million worth of auction revenue. Now, that was 2019. This year, we've only been able to have one single auction, which was in February, and we took only $11 million from that auction, and therefore it means that Gemfields has suddenly gone from getting perhaps $100 million in the first half of the year to getting $11 million in the first half of the year. And that obviously leaves a very significant revenue and funding gap for us, as this crisis has for so many other people in our industry. Now, Gemfields was fortunate that thanks to the extremely hard work of our team in recent years, that we had a good balance sheet. In other words, we had a good amount of savings in the bank. And at the moment, it is those savings that we are living off. And we certainly hope that the world will return to a relative state of normal. And Gemfields is obviously focusing on trying to make its available cash resources last as long as it possibly can. And so we obviously have implemented a number of measures to reduce our costs as much as possible, because nobody really has the certainty at this stage as to how long we're all going to be affected by COVID-19 and its knock-on effects.
I see. So it means like this year comparing to 2019, your revenue is just only, let's say, 5%. But I heard that Gemfields also preparing for the next auction in December this year.
Yes. So, I mean, if you look at our previous years, and one assumes that roughly speaking, and I'm approximating it here for illustrative purposes, in the first half of the year, we have a couple of emerald auctions, and then we have a June ruby auction. And we're practically now at the end of June. So normally, Gemfields will already have had, let's say, $100 million worth of auction revenue. However, in reality, we've got $11 million of auction revenue. So our revenue this year, for the year to date, is down 90%. And that obviously creates tremendous difficulties. You are correctly informed that we are hoping, with everything that we can, that we will be able to host auctions in the fourth quarter of this year. If everything goes according to plan, in October, we'll start with an auction of higher quality emeralds. And then, as many of our customers are familiar with, we do run a ruby auction, hopefully in Singapore. And that typically takes place in November or December anyway. And we would hope to do that this year. But what that does mean from a ruby perspective, and Thailand obviously is particularly interested in the ruby side of things, it means that Gemfields will, for 2020, have only one auction instead of 2. Our regular June auction is cancelled. It can't take place. It's not going to take place. And we will therefore this year, hopefully, have only one ruby auction, which we hope will be November or December, and hopefully that will take place in December. And so if there are any of our customers or market observers who are concerned that somehow there's suddenly going to be an oversupply of product, they can take comfort from 2 things. First, the mines are not running and haven't been running for 3 months. and probably won't run for at least another month or two, and therefore the production is not available. And secondly, Gemfields will this year only be running one ruby auction, we hope, subject to all the travel restrictions, and hopefully that'll be in November or December. And again, we hope that we'll be able to do that in Singapore. But there are, of course, no guarantees, and I think that's one of the big challenges at the moment for most people, is just the lack of certainty.
Does it mean like you have, I mean like the number of stock, quantity the stock, it should be like bigger than previous auction? Is it because you just suspend for the mining for 3 months?
Excellent question. And I think here it's a tale of two gemstones, in the sense that we were lucky at the Kajum Emerald Mine at the beginning of this year and late last year to have had very good production levels. And that means that provided we can get 1 or 2 more months of production soon, we should be in a position to offer our customers a perfectly respectable emerald auction, we hope in October or November of this year. However, that's not quite the case with rubies, especially the premium rubies have been much more difficult to find. And that means that we really do need a few months of new mining production and a little bit of luck in order to be able to offer an appropriately sized auction, we hope in November or December in Singapore. So everybody should keep their fingers crossed. But as we've always said to our customers, we don't have the good fortune or the privilege of having a stockpile of rubies sitting in a safe somewhere. Generally speaking, by far and away, the bulk of what we have mined immediately comes to one of our auctions. In years to come, we'd love to have a stockpile like that to give us a buffer to deal with this sort of problem. But unfortunately, we don't have that, and therefore we do need a few months of good production before we're able to put on the next auction, which we hope will be November or December of this year.
Right now, so many fairs regarding to the gem and jewelry fair around the world is cancelled. Like let's say in Europe, in USA, including Hong Kong, and also Thailand, the big fair, the Bangkok Gem. Not so sure, like, because right now the government and all the businessmen is discussing on possibility to run the fair. But we believe that in this year, not so many people travel, especially the buyer. In your opinion, what do you think of what your suggestion for the market, even in the short term, in the next 3 months, or for the long term after the COVID crisis? Is it any change, or the pattern, or any platform will be replaced, or the way that the businessman can survive or can recover their business?
Very good question, and I wish I had good answers and good, reliable advice to share with people. But I think one of the features of this COVID-19 crisis has been the enormous uncertainty, the fact that it has taken longer to get to where we are today than people might otherwise have anticipated. Some people thought we'd only be in lockdown for a couple of weeks, and of course that's run for months, and we don't yet know exactly whether or not we're going to get a second wave with additional restrictions. So I think in the short term, over the next 3 months, we will see a gradual improving working of the engine and things gradually starting to shift again. And in fact, we are already seeing that in multiple areas. But I do think it's going to take 12 months, 18 months, maybe a little bit longer before things have returned to what we can regard as being normal. There are obviously some encouraging signs of pent-up demand. Customers who've been sitting in lockdown, who are fortunate enough to have sufficient funds where they haven't been spending on their usual luxury items, whether that's holidays, purchasing watches, jewelry, gemstones, whether that's going out to restaurants and the like, and where they do want to get out and sort of celebrate the ability to live normally again, to love normally again, etc., etc. So in the next 3 months, gradual improvements, we hope, and 12 to 18 months, maybe 24, before things return to a relative normal. However, I do think it's important to say that whilst many of your viewers, much more experienced in this industry than I am, I would make the observation that we got involved in this industry just before the financial crisis of 2008 and 2009. And people seem to look back now and go, well, that was pretty easy, didn't really cause any problems, and they brush it off. But of course, that was really a very big problem. And I do think that this industry got through that crisis, as it has through many other crises in history over the last 200 years, very well. And it is a very resilient business with very creative, dynamic, energetic, and clever people. And I have absolutely no doubt that it will make its way through this crisis too.
And you mentioned that, okay, this year you have just only one auction and you are preparing for another two in maybe November. The point is right now, I'm not sure people can travel or not. In the worst case, if people cannot travel, what do you think about the online auction? Is it possible for Gemfields to, because right now, if you're talking about the raw material stock in the market, of course, the mining is not providing or support to the market. So they might be short for the inventory for the raw material to
Yes.
make the. Any plan on this in case that they cannot travel or the second wave happen, or because we don't know and it's very far for us to prepare.
Yeah. Look, another good question, and it's one that we are asked quite regularly now. In the diamond sector, there is some scope to be able to carry out the sale of some gemstones via online means. And for those who, again, will know much more about the diamond sector than I do, but they do have a series of machines, including ones made by a fairly well-known Israeli company, where you can take the individual diamond, you put it inside the machine, and the machine will scan the diamond, and it will read the diamond, and within a short space of time, it will tell the buyer, here's how you can cut this diamond, here's the shape that you should cut, and it can indicate with a high degree of accuracy what the yield is and also what the quality characteristics of that diamond are going to be. And that technology today, I understand, is so good that people can rely on it reasonably. Unfortunately, when it comes to colored gemstones, as we all know, no two colored gemstones are the same. Each one of them is unique. And it takes an enormous amount of skill and experience for people who've been doing it for years to look at a gemstone and to work out what the final product's going to be, where it is that they might be able to make improvements in the orientation, if there are inclusions or imperfections, how can they orient the stone to give the best final outcome. And there are, as far as we're aware anyway, no machines that can do that today in the color gemstone business. And so it is imperative for our customers to be able to sit down physically with the gemstones, often to look at it in different sources of light. Sometimes it's natural light, sometimes it's artificial light. Sometimes, particularly in the emerald business, our customers like to see the gemstones in the morning light and the afternoon light because that's different. And so, unfortunately for us, we are 98% focused and driven to being able to deliver our next in-person auction where we can have everybody together in the room with the physical gemstones. And typically our customers will take 4 days, sometimes 5 days, and they work incredibly hard. They spend every day from early in the morning to late in the afternoon while there is light, looking at thousands upon thousands of gemstones before making their bids at the end. So the in-person auctions are very important, and we sincerely hope and pray that we will be able to run regular auctions in October, November, and December of this year. Of course, if that turns out not to be possible, then we will have to look at Plan B early in the first quarter of 2021. And that might mean trying to get some of the gemstones to customers that are able to come to certain centers to look at them and then to either make bids or to buy them based on historic prices. But we don't believe that we will have to go down that route. And we sincerely hope.
Sound good. Like you have a second plan for selling to the market. Like at the end, I'd like you to have your suggestion to the people in the gem and jewelry industry, especially in Thailand, as we are one of the biggest trading hub for the ruby and other color stone. They are in the crisis, right? Like I can say that more than 3-4 months, and we are the biggest manufacturing for export. And right now, every factory is watching the same situation because they cannot do the export, they cannot ship the product out. In terms of the financial, they're also very tough.
Yes.
I'd like you to give some like a suggestion to them and maybe telling them that okay, we pass this situation together. We recover very soon.
Yes. Well, there's no doubt that everybody is in the same situation. We're all in the same boat, in the sense that we do all want the industry to get restarted, the engines to get restarted, and for the product pipeline to keep flowing. Again, I wish I was in a position to give concrete, reliable, and positive advice to people. I do believe the industry will make its way through. Of that, in my judgment, based on everything we've seen historically, there is no doubt. But one of my favorite expressions or quotes is that life is a marathon and not a sprint. And therefore, I think it's important for people to conserve a degree of energy for the later stages of the run or the later stages of the race. Try and be conservative. Try not to overextend oneself just in case there are further unexpected developments. And then, of course, try and keep a sense of perspective, which is the world is still gradually ticking over, and the chances are very high that that process will continue and that things will improve a little bit more quickly. And then, of course, for those who are able to, keep marketing. And so Gemfields obviously has continued most, but not all, of its marketing initiatives, particularly in the field of print advertising and social media presences. And for those who are unable to spend money on marketing, I think the important thing is to keep talking to your customers, keep in contact with them, let them know that you provide good service, that you're interested, and that the moment the sector starts recovering, you're ready to assist them with their needs.
Yeah, that's good. I think that is people in the industry have to adapt or a strategy to help themselves to pass this tough situation together. And thank you very much, John, for your sharing today. I think it's very good and very benefit to all the audience today. Thank you. สวัสดีครับ
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure and a privilege, and we send everybody our good wishes and our best hopes.
Right. And see you very soon.
Look forward to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you both of you ขอขอบพระคุณทั้งสองท่านเป็นอย่างสูงค่ะและนี่ก็คือเรื่องราวดีๆนะคะคาดว่าทุกท่านจะนำไปปรับใช้หลังจากสถานการณ์ของโควิดที่คลี่คลายไปอย่างมากแล้วในตอนนี้นะคะและในโอกาสต่อๆไปค่ะ GIT ของเราก็มีแผนนะคะที่จะเชิญ CEO นะคะผู้บริหารระดับสูงจากหน่วยงานบริษัทหรือองค์กรชั้นนำไม่ว่าจากทั้งในประเทศและก็ต่างประเทศมาร่วมพูดคุยกันในหัวข้อต่างๆที่น่าสนใจและเป็นประเด็นร้อนแรงในขณะนั้นค่ะเพื่อให้ทุกท่านได้นำมุมมองที่น่าสนใจเหล่านี้ไปปรับใช้ในธุรกิจของทุกท่านค่ะและแน่นอนค่ะเพื่ออัปเดตข่าวสารต่างๆให้ทุกท่านอย่างตลอดเวลานะคะทุกท่านสามารถกดเป็นเพื่อนกับเราค่ะโดย follow page ของเรานะคะFacebook git.or.th หรือเป็นเพื่อนกับเราค่ะได้ที่ Line Official @git.thailand ค่ะและนอกจากนี้ถ้าท่านใดสนใจในเรื่องของการฝึกอบรมหลักสูตรต่างๆค่ะก็สามารถเข้าไปดูได้ที่ www.git.or.th นะคะและสุดท้ายค่ะถ้าท่านใดมีข้อสงสัยนะคะที่อยากจะซักถามหรือสอบถามตอนนี้เรามีแอปพลิเคชันกระดาษค่ะที่เปิดให้บริการตลอด24 ชั่วโมงโดยเรามีกูรูหลากหลายสาขาเลยค่ะไม่ว่าจะเป็นสาขาอัญมณีสาขาโลหะมีค่าหรือสาขาการออกแบบที่พร้อมให้บริการคุณตลอดเวลาสามารถเข้าไปสอบถามได้เลยค่ะสามารถเข้าไปดาวน์โหลดฟรีค่ะได้ผ่านนะคะทั้งระบบ iOS และ Android ค่ะและในวันนี้นะคะหน้าที่ของดิฉันก็หมดลงแล้วค่ะพบกันในครั้งต่อๆไปค่ะวันนี้นะคะดิฉันขอสวัสดีค่ะ